Good morning, friend, and Merry Christmas. It is Christmas morning today, and our plans have completely changed. We celebrated with Josh's dad yesterday, and today we were gonna have Christmas to Josh and myself. We weren't gonna have any plans, and we were just gonna hang out and do nothing. And my plan was to make oatmeal, which is what I'm doing right now. Baby A is in the bassinet just right next to me over here, and Josh is still sleeping. Josh takes care of the night feedings. I get up at 3 a.m., starting at 3 a.m. He stays up till 1, or takes care of baby A till 1 a.m., and then I take over at 3 a.m. So Josh is still sleeping because I let him sleep in, and he lets me go to bed early. So what I want to do first thing before we do anything is get breakfast going so that I can bring breakfast to Josh. I have 2 cups of oatmeal, just old-fashioned rolled oats in here. I put 2 cups of milk, and now I'm going to put 2 cups of water, and we're going to get this going, and we have breakfast started. Josh has really been enjoying, and I've been enjoying the breakfast burritos for breakfast, and we've been having granola and yogurt for breakfast as well. Yesterday we didn't have to make breakfast because we went over and celebrated with Josh's dad, but today I just wanted something easy, a little bit different, so we're gonna have just oatmeal with, I don't know what we're gonna put on top of it yet. So tomorrow is the day after Christmas, and we were supposed to celebrate with my family in the morning and with Josh's family in the afternoon. And we were gonna go to my family's house, and then we were gonna drive over to Josh's mom's house. But one of our family members, where the Christmas was supposed to be hosted at my mother-in-law's house, is sick. So we are not going to host there. We are gonna host here. So we're still gonna go, Josh and I in the morning, we're still gonna go to my parents' house tomorrow, but my mother-in-law is gonna come here, and we are gonna actually celebrate, and everyone from Josh's side of the family is gonna come here. They'll come here while we're still at my parents' house, but I'm just gonna leave the door open, and my mother-in-law is gonna do just take over my house, which is fine because we'll be back from my parents' house around 2. So because of that, my mother-in-law is gonna bring up some chairs, and we are gonna do some Christmas cooking together because she needs to bring up a bunch of food. And I said, do you want to just go ahead and do the cooking here today together? And so that's what we're gonna do. So instead of just doing absolutely nothing on this Christmas day, my mother-in-law is coming over, and we are going to prepare for celebrating Christmas tomorrow. Both my side of the family and my husband's side of the family, we like to celebrate when all of our family can be together. And so it doesn't always fall on the actual holiday to celebrate. And this year just happens to be when different people are in town from my side of the family and Josh's side of the family that we're gonna celebrate the day after Christmas. So this year, we get to celebrate with 2 families in one day. So I'm gonna get this oatmeal going, and then we're gonna wrap some presents. We brought up a bunch of stuff for gifts for family members the other day together, but I never got it wrapped. So we're gonna do that this morning, and then my mother-in-law is gonna be over here to start doing some cooking together today. Our plans for dinner, while this is cooking, I will tell you what we are planning for dinner tonight. This is what I was planning from the get-go, is I pulled out a lasagna freezer meal. We made this together in the postpartum freezer meal prep video. And so we are going to just let this thaw on the counter, and we will bake it up tonight. And then I have to figure out some vegetable, but I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's gonna be a really, really easy dinner because, like I said, our plan today was to just do absolutely nothing. But I'm kind of excited that my plans changed a little bit. You know that being in the kitchen is one of my favorite things to do. And it's gonna be fun to just hang out with my mother-in-law, have Josh around, and it's just gonna be kind of fun to have a low-key different holiday. I know that with all this severe weather that's happened across the country, it really has affected a lot of people's plans that were planning to travel, flights being canceled, and all these craziness. So I'm sure you can relate to your Christmas plans changing, or many of you can relate. Let me know in the comments if your Christmas plans had to change this year. This is the consistency I like of my oatmeal. When you pull it away, it kind of, you can see that there's a trail behind. So this is perfect. So we're gonna get this dished up. And before I do anything else, while this is still hot, I'm going to get this under some water to rinse it out, because if I let this dry, it's gonna be a pain to clean. I have some butter. So I think the way I'm gonna flavor these is really simply, we're just gonna put a good pat of really delicious grass-fed butter on here. This butter has the best flavor of any butter I've ever had. For the oatmeal we're gonna have this morning, I've got a couple bananas that I wanna make sure we use up before they get too ripe. So I'm gonna put some banana on ours that we're gonna have this morning. And then we'll just sprinkle or pour a little bit of maple syrup on just to add a little bit more sweetness to it. I'm not going to add bananas to this because I don't want it to turn brown, and we can add it later if we want to. I don't know if you can hear baby A, but he is starting to stir just a little bit. So I'm going to pour Josh a cup of coffee, and I'm going to bring him his oatmeal so he can enjoy a nice breakfast. I will feed baby A. I will eat myself. So we got 4 breakfasts for one-time effort in the kitchen. It's how I like to do it, friends. Breakfast was absolutely delicious. Now I have the energy to manage these presents. It's 11 a.m. right now. My mother-in-law is going to be here at noon. Some of these gifts are for her. Now, we don't really do a lot of gift giving on either side of the family anymore because we're all adults now and we can kind of buy anything we need. And so typically we just do, like, my mother-in-law and my parents still like to do stockings for us. So we do stockings, and then we usually do maybe little tiny gifts. We've kind of agreed to do no gifts this year, but I have been kind of, you know, making stuff and putting stuff in jars, and I like to share the love. So I am gonna put together some gifts for my siblings and my in-laws, both my parents-in-law and my siblings-in-law. I went shopping downstairs. I've got some enchilada sauce. A lot of my family members like to cook, so I'm excited for them to try the enchilada sauce. And then my sister really likes the salsa verde I make, so I'm gonna give her one of those. Everybody's getting a jar of jam. And then I am giving my dad and brother each a jar of cowboy candy because they love spicy. My brother, you know that I made that hot sauce for him, so I'm gonna give him that hot sauce. My father-in-law does not like vinegar-based things, and so I dried up some homegrown peppers. He and I share a love for spicy pepper flakes. We're the only two when we're at dinner at my mother-in-law's house that put spicy stuff on our food. So I thought he would appreciate some of that. And then, this might be TMI, but I had posted a picture. Josh, for postpartum, installed a bidet for us, and it's something he'd wanted for a long time. One of his favorite streamers came up with one and is selling one. Ludwig, if any of your spouses or you are into techie stuff, you might know who Ludwig is. He's a huge YouTuber. So Josh bought his bidet for us. I posted a picture on Instagram. My mom said she wanted one, so we decided to surprise them with that. So it's kind of a big gift for them that we thought that we're gonna surprise them with. And then all the females on my side and Josh's side of the family are gonna get a candle that I made. Another thing we decided to do this year with my mother-in-law is surprise her with I don't even know what it is, but it's some sort of, I think it's a Nintendo Switch or something. I don't know. Josh thought it would be fun to give that to my mother-in-law so that when all of us siblings are at her house, we will have a gaming console to play. I guess growing up on their side of the family, they used to play a lot of, it must be a Nintendo because he was saying they played a lot of Mario Kart, I think. I don't know. So he really wanted to surprise his mom with a family gift. So that's gonna be really fun. And now that it's gonna be at our house, I think we'll probably just open it up and we will play the Nintendo Switch at our house. So I'm gonna take a second and get all of these gifts laid out. Oh, I'm also giving people some garlic too, because people like to cook and that's some homegrown garlic they might enjoy. I don't have enough Christmas bags to reuse, so I just grabbed whatever type of gift bags I had in my gift bag box. And we're just gonna use what we have. I'm gonna lay everything out and try to put everything out so that I know what I'm giving what person in particular, because I did grab a couple things that are specific, like my mom likes rhubarb. I don't know if anybody else likes rhubarb jam. So this spot right here is going to be for my mom and dad. It's a cowboy candy and a rhubarb jam. Everybody else is basically going to get a strawberry jam because strawberry is, oh, and I have some raspberry, I think the jams, and a blueberry jam. I think the jam I'm just going to give randomly to everyone else. I'm going to make sure my mom gets the rhubarb. And we're just going to lay this out. I'm going to grab a Post-it note, and I'm going to put a Post-it note with which family member it goes to. Basically, it's going to be for, like, this is for my sister and her husband, so my brother-in-law. And this will be for my brother. And I'm going to put a note for the one for my brother to get that fermented hot sauce out of the fridge because I will forget that. I made eggnog to take to my father-in-law's yesterday and I forgot it. So I want to make sure I don't forget the hot sauce for my brother. So we're just going to lay these out here. Friends, thank you for being so patient with me and supportive when it comes to my birth and postpartum vlog. I really appreciate that. I can tell watching this right now that I'm talking a little bit slow and I'm a little bit tired, but trust me, as time goes on, I get my energy back, and I'm just grateful that you are taking time out of your day to hang out with me today. Now, you all know that I do not store my canned goods with rings on them. That is the best practice for safe canning, is you do never store your canned goods with rings on them, because if your rings are going, or your seal is going to fail, you want to know it's going to fail. And if you store your canned goods with your rings on, then you could get a false seal, which is what you don't want. But I am putting a ring on each one of the jams that I'm gifting because most of my family members are not canners. And so I don't know if they have rings at home, and a jam is something you are going to open and you're going to want to put a ring on it to put it in your fridge. So I just lightly put the ring on each one of the jams and on the cowboy candy, because obviously you're not going to go through a whole pint of cowboy candy in one sitting. But the enchilada sauce, I'm assuming they are going to use the entire enchilada sauce, so I did not put a ring on that. But that is just for convenience for my family members, so they can store those things in the fridge. Now what I'm doing is I am packaging up or wrapping up all of these goodies into gift bags, and I'm putting a Post-it note on each one so that I remember whose is whose. Nothing fancy here. I didn't go out and buy Christmas bags that all matched, as much as I would enjoy doing that. This just was not the year for that. So I am just reusing some gift bags and some tissue paper that I already had. I am one that likes to save tissue paper and gift bags and reuse it whenever possible. And so that's what we're doing here today. And it does feel good to be able to kind of gift some of my hard work to my family members. It feels like a big accomplishment to have all these gifts sitting on my table right now. And now we are going to wrap up this Nintendo Switch for my mother-in-law. And it was Mario Kart that they would play. I was asking Josh about it, and they used to play Mario Kart a lot on family vacations and stuff like that. So this was a really fun and kind of special gift. So we're just wrapping this up. This is some wrapping paper I had purchased last year and never opened it, and it's really pretty. So now that we are basically done wrapping, my mother-in-law should be over shortly and we can get to cooking. So I'm really excited about this. It's not conventional Christmas. It's not Pinterest worthy. It's not absolutely coordinating, but it's beautiful, I think. And it cost me $0 to buy these bags. These are just recycled bags, and I think my family will appreciate what's in them. So 4 of them are going to my parents in the morning. So I'm gonna put those 4 right by the door so Josh can load those up in the car so we don't forget anything. And then these 3, we get to go put under our Christmas tree because we're having Christmas hosted at my house, which I have never hosted Christmas before. So it's gonna be kind of cool. It's gonna be kind of special. I've decided, instead of putting the presents by the door like I originally intended, so we wouldn't forget them, I'm gonna put them by the refrigerator out here so that it reminds me. I have a note, but it'll remind me to grab the hot sauce that we made for my brother that's in the refrigerator. This is fermented ghost pepper hot sauce, and I don't want to forget that. I also took a minute to wipe out the refrigerator just so that it'd be nice and clean, because my mother-in-law is going to be bringing like the ham and a bunch of other things, and we're going to be doing some cooking, and those are going to need to go in the fridge. So I wanted the fridge to be nice and wiped out. And then I also found just random beverages that I have around my house. I threw those in the fridge so that people can just come out here and help themselves to whatever beverage they want. I can just say, run out there, grab whatever you want, and that'll work just fine. I also have some lemonades here that I could throw in the fridge. You know what? I think I'm going to throw some of the champagne in the fridge because I bought orange juice. So if people want to make mimosas in the morning, they can do that. That way I honestly am just going to say, make it your home. Help yourself to whatever you need. And yeah, I just want them to feel super comfortable. So I'm going to get this in the fridge. And then I have, let's see, about 20 minutes before my mother-in-law gets here. So I'm going to go cuddle my baby, get those cuddles in while I can. And then when she comes, we're going to be cooking, setting the table. We need to add some sort of extension on here. And then we are going to be rearranging the furniture so that we have good seating for everybody. So my mother-in-law is here. This is Renee, if you haven't met her yet. We've done a couple project days together in the kitchen. And change of plans, my life is about to get a lot easier because we were able to work it all out, and we can host Christmas again at Renee's house.
Yes.
Which is going to be a lot easier. But because we don't have any plans today, and she doesn't have any plans today other than to do some baking, she figured she might as well come over here and we're going to do some cooking together. So it's going to be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So Renee has 2 recipes we're going to make. We're going to do a really easy, it's a pumpkin dessert. She was thinking of doing something a little different than pie because we just had Thanksgiving and had a bunch of pie. It's going to be kind of like a cake mix dessert.
The cake mix is the crust, and then it has the pumpkin, and then it has like a streusel top.
It sounds really good. So I'm going to type that recipe up, and then we're also going to make a breakfast casserole in the crock pot. But the first thing we're going to do is we are going to get the oven preheated to 350 degrees because that's how hot we need it for the cake. But I also want to bake up some of the Christmas cookies I made up a few weeks ago and threw in the freezer. We have some snickerdoodles, some butter pecan cookies, and I gave away all of the ginger cookies that we made together just a few days ago. So I'm going to throw some of each of these onto a cookie sheet, bake them, and then while those are baking, we will put together the pumpkin dessert. So I'm going to bake both the snickerdoodles and the butter pecan cookies at the same time because they both need to cook for 8 to 10 minutes at 350 degrees, and you can bake them from frozen really easily. So we're just going to get a few on here. So I changed my mind. We're going to do 1 whole sheet tray of the butter pecan cookies, and we're going to do 1 whole sheet of the snickerdoodles going in. And Renee got out all the ingredients for the pumpkin dessert, so we're going to get going on the pumpkin dessert.
Okay, so we're going to make the crust first, and this is definitely not scratch pantry recipe.
That's okay.
This is totally Renee, right? But we're going to use some yellow cake mix to
There's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to take a package of yellow cake mix. We're going to reserve a cup because that's going to become like the streusel topping. So the crust is the cake mix, 1 egg, and then a ½ cup of melted butter.
So I'm going to melt the butter here.
Which is 1 stick.
But before I do that, I'm going to grease a pan so that we can bake it in this 9x13. Renee actually brought this 9x13. I'm already getting flour on myself. So that she can just bring it back to her house because we're going to celebrate at her house.
Yeah. And so it said to reserve 1 cup of the cake mix for the topping, which I'm glad I remember because I could totally see me just forgetting that stuff. All right, so we'll set that there, and then 1 egg.
So my cooking spray, I just ran out of it. I don't feel like running downstairs to get another one. I do have another one, but so I just put a little bit of oil on here, took a paper towel, wiped it around. I'm gonna go melt this butter. Here you go.
Thank you.
So this is 1 yellow cake mix with 1 cup of the powder reserved.
and 1 stick of butter. And I'm gonna mix this up a little bit first, and then I'll add in the egg. I've never made this recipe before. You know, always good to try it.
That'd be like trying a new recipe on Christmas. Once it could go, we'll have enough desserts.
I think so, yeah, but anyway, but I'm using a recipe out of my hometown church's cookbook.
Oh, that's fun.
And so when you see like this woman, Suzanne, I'm like, oh yeah, I know her, and I'm sure that she wouldn't have put a recipe in that she didn't love, that was tried and true. So, like, yeah, we're gonna go for it. Yeah, this totally looks like frosting. Come on, Suzanne, don't fail us, right?
While Renee finishes that, I'm going to stop my timer, and we are going to rotate these cookies. They've been in there for 4 minutes, and I'll cook them for an additional 4 minutes, and then we'll take them out of the oven. We're just commenting that it's very spreadable, so you would think that the recipe would say spread crust instead of pressed crust, because there's no way you could touch this without it just getting everywhere.
Yeah.
But we're having faith in Suzanne, right?
Yes.
That she's not going to fail us. So now we're going to get going on the pumpkin filling.
Yes. All right, so we pop this over here. So the filling is 1 large can, which is what?
30-something ounces?
What do you know? This is 1 pound, 13 ounces. This is 1 pound, 14 ounces. I wonder if they've decreased.
Shrunk?
Since they made this cookbook,
Probably.
which was probably like from 1982.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
I've heard it's called like shrink gate or something like that with inflation, that the prices either are going up and the packaging is shrinking, or the packages are just shrinking.
But isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's like 1 ounce less. So we'll be all right. All right, so we need 1 can of this. We need 2 eggs and 2/3 cup milk. Do you have a wet measure?
I don't.
That's okay. I'll just.
Let me get you a 2/3 cup measure. I'm going to show you guys inside my drawer. This is on my list of things to do at some point, is to organize. But for now, you can see the real inside my cabinet that it is messy. Our timer went off, so we need to get these out of the oven right now. I like to pound them on the counter. I feel like it flattens the cookie and it just gives them a better texture. I've always done it. I don't know why. And we're going to let those cool. All right, I'm gonna get going on the streusel topping. Renee's gonna get going on the filling.
Okay. So I need to do 2 eggs, a can of the pumpkin pie. It says pumpkin pie filling, but this is actually pumpkin, which is kind of weird, right? It's a pumpkin pie filling. That is a different.
That's a whole different thing.
That's a whole different animal.
And it says it needs pumpkin pie filling?
Yes.
The first recipe I've ever seen that calls for pumpkin pie filling. And
you know, I think we're gonna be okay. I mean, maybe I'll add more milk, because doesn't pumpkin pie filling have evaporated milk in it in a can?
so pumpkin pie filling is the whole pumpkin recipe. So it's got the egg, the milk, the sugar. So if there's no sugar is there no sugar in this recipe?
No, it's only in the topping and in there. So I need to add some sugar.
So I probably wouldn't add all that pumpkin. I probably would add like half the can of pumpkin and then add like sugar and some milk. Basically make like pumpkin pie filling.
Oh my gosh.
So every recipe always says, make sure you have pumpkin pie puree, not pumpkin pie filling.
I never buy pumpkin pie filling. And I didn't even think about it. I'm like, a pumpkin pie, this would be great. This would be such an easy recipe.
So what we could do is look up maybe a pumpkin, we could look on the back of the Libby's, we could make like a half recipe of pumpkin pie filling from the back of the Libby's recipe. Does that work?
Sure. Here we go,
We're making recipes up on Christmas.
No pressure.
Having fun in the kitchen. So this recipe calls for evaporated milk, but you can always substitute half and half or heavy cream for evaporated milk. So that's what we're gonna do today.
So it's interesting because, and we can just add all those other things. So we'll add more of the pumpkin pie spice to this.
Yeah.
This says, in the filling, it says 2 eggs. 4 large eggs, or 2 eggs, and this is 2 eggs.
Yeah, so I'd probably just put 2 eggs.
Just do 2 eggs, and then I think but because it doesn't have sugar, I bet it's sugar. The pumpkin pie.
Yeah, there's sugar in pumpkin pie, canned pumpkin pie.
Yeah, so we probably need to account for the sugar and the pumpkin pie spice. And they're calling for this milk. I bet this will be enough milk. Maybe instead of using this milk, let's use half and half.
Okay. It's clear as mud.
a little bit of salt.
So Renee's gonna figure this out, and I'm just gonna do this because this is really easy. It's a half stick of butter, our 1 cup of reserved cake mix, and 1 teaspoon. It calls for cinnamon, but we're gonna substitute pumpkin pie spice for the cinnamon. And then I'm gonna use my pastry brush, and we're going to break this and make a streusel topping.
Yummy.
Break the butter, or cut the butter, I should say, into it and make, oh, and then sugar, right? 1/4 cup of sugar?
Yes, a
Yes,
quarter cup
quarter
of sugar.
cup of sugar.
Then go ahead and throw a 1/4 cup of sugar in this.
Okay. There you go.
Awesome, thank you. And then I'm gonna add in some of your,
Go for it.
I like it well
Spiced?
seasoned. So
Yeah.
let's just do, let's do a teaspoon.
Yeah.
I haven't made a pumpkin pie in years, but I used to make them all the time, so it should be.
It really easy.
completely-
Pumpkin pies are probably the easiest.
I think so too.
So there's our crumble topping. It's a little bit on the powdery side, but I think it's gonna be delicious once that butter kind of melts into the dried part.
Could you throw in just a sprinkle of salt into
Yeah.
this? Thank you.
Do you want me to measure out the milk for you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
How much milk do you need?
It says 2/3 of a cup,
Okay.
so let's start with that. Oh, that looks good. It's starting to look kind of nice and custardy, right?
Yeah, it's looking like pumpkin pie filling.
Oh, it does smell good. That looks nice and custardy,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
that looks
Do you
like
think it
it'll
needs-
bake up nicely.
I don't think it needs more pumpkin, do
No,
you?
I don't think so.
We
I think
care-
it'll make a nice layer on here.
I think so too, and it's not too thin.
Runny. Yeah, I think that looks like a beautiful consistency. We're gonna pour this over and just kind of do a nice thin layer. I think that looks really perfect.
I think it does too.
It smells certainly delicious.
It just, yeah, it smells wonderful. Oh, look how pretty that is. This is gonna be yummy.
I think we did a good job coming up with a custom recipe. I think it'll bake up just fine.
Well, I think too, that's the thing, we baked enough where we can kind of think on the fly too, right?
Yeah. So basically in the time these cookies baked, we got that pumpkin dessert put together. So I'm gonna take these cookies now that they've cooled for just about a minute or two on the cooling rack, or on the cookie sheet. I'm gonna put them on a cooling rack. And this snickerdoodle recipe, as long as you don't overbake them, they are a chewy snickerdoodle, which is my favorite. I love a chewy snickerdoodle. I don't think I'm gonna make any more of the ginger cookies because we just ate those yesterday as a family, and I think that it'll be fun to have a little bit of a different dessert. And I think we'll have enough desserts now between, because Renee made a bunch of banquet. If you were with me a couple days ago, we made another dessert together, and we'll have a bunch of that.
Okay, so it's great, the oven has already been preheated to 350. I'm gonna pop this in for 45 to 50 minutes. We're gonna set it for 40 or so to make sure we don't have to turn it around.
Wow, we already have 3 desserts done, basically.
Maybe I'll set it for 25 minutes and then check it.
Oh, that's probably a good idea. We thought we would just take a minute here and go ahead and clean up our mess. We have the potato casserole we're gonna make next, and we're also gonna make a family favorite Rice Krispie treat type dessert, except it's not made with Rice Krispies, it is made with cornflakes, and I'm excited to share that recipe with you. The next recipe we're making are the hash brown casserole, and Renee's brought her crock pot, so we can just make it right in the crock pot.
Yeah, and I like to use crock pot liners just because Christmas is busy, holidays are busy, and I don't want to have to clean up.
The less the cleanup, the better. So Renee just went and got one of my J. Morrell size bowls because we're gonna mix all the filling in the bowl before we put it in the crock pot.
Okay, so in this large bowl, I'm gonna mix all of the wet ingredients. We're gonna start with the sour cream. This is, because I'm making basically a double batch of this because we eat a lot of potatoes. I'm using, what is this, 16 ounces sour cream.
And I'm gonna chop up, it's supposed to be 1 large onion. We might wanna do both of them because they're,
Oh, it's got some yucky on it?
yeah.
Okay.
So we'll do 2 small onions instead of 1 large onion, and that will work.
So this calls for 4 cans of cream of whatever soup. And so I have 3 cans of cream of mushroom and 1 can of cream of potato. All right, so we've got the soup and sour cream mixed up. I'm gonna add in the onions. Maybe we do like almost all of those. Oh, maybe we should do all.
However many you want.
I like it oniony.
Yeah.
This is probably, I don't know, what, like, it's a tablespoon?
Yeah.
Just gonna go like, I'm just gonna turn the bag right side out. Inside out.
You want all these onions in there?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
But I like to mix all of this stuff up first so that, oh no, you're good.
Oh.
No, I like to mix this all up first, just that way it gets all incorporated before I add the potato. This is pre-cooked bacon from Costco. It is real bacon. And this is probably a cup. My recipe says a half cup, but we're going for it. We are going for it. Okay, so I have kind of a hodgepodge of potatoes. So the stores this week, of course with the storm, everyone was stocking up on things. It was really hard to find things. And so I would have liked to have had just a full, some of these frozen shredded hash browns like this. This is what the recipe calls for, except the store did not have any. And I was like, but I think I have enough variety of potato products in my freezer. So this was a really good chance for me to get rid of 3 opened bags of potatoes. We've got some tater tots. We have some hash browns. We have some hash browns that we were going to take camping and we didn't use them. And then these are some, what are these? Potato rounds. So I figured they're potatoes. Potatoes are potatoes, right? And so they all kind of have the same thing. These have a little breading on them. I think it'll add something to it. So I'm going to use this up, and then it also uses things that I have on hand and are in my freezer that need to get used up. So I'm going to go ahead and dump these in.
We have spray.
This might be our new favorite way to do this. Like
Yeah.
just using tater tots and...
It might add a nice crunch to it that you don't get when you do just hash browns.
And now my freezer has more room in it, which I'm pretty excited about. Yeah, so Becky's spraying the liner.
So we're doubling this recipe, and we think that there's going to be way more than is going to fit.
Did I lose one?
That's okay. It's going to fit in the crock pot. So we also got a 9x9 casserole out. And Renee's just going to freeze this. And maybe next time we have family dinner, because we try to do family dinner once a month, then she can pull this out and we can have a side dish. And we're saving ourselves effort. Our future self's work.
Which we always like to do. But yeah, there's definitely, I think, plenty of sour cream, plenty of soup. I haven't even added the cheese. But we want to make sure all the potatoes are well covered.
So what if I put 1 cup of cheese in it, and then you sprinkle half cup of cheese on the top?
I like it.
That'll work.
Yeah, 'cause we need a total of, what did we say? 12 ounces. Yeah, 12 ounces. Yeah, there we go.
And then I'll just measure some out to put on the top.
This is one of those super heart healthy dishes, isn't it?
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
This is nice having 2 people in the kitchen because either one of us is like cooking, the other one's picking up after each other. So it's very convenient.
I feel like you were doing more cleanup, so I really enjoyed this. I don't know, maybe it
That
will.
might fit actually.
Oh, after you grease that pan.
That's okay. I can wash it. Well, maybe not.
I'm not down yet. I think, because we want to have room to, I think it's all going to fit.
Nice.
Yeah, because we don't even have to, oh, look at that.
That's perfect. So our timer went off. Oh my goodness, this is looking perfect, Renee.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so we're...
Suzanne.
Suzanne. So we're just gonna turn it and we're gonna put it back in for another 25 minutes.
Now we're just going to take some cheddar cheese and some Parmesan and sprinkle it on the top.
How long do you think you will have to cook this for?
I think it says on low for 6 to 8 hours.
Oh, okay.
And then some parsley. I'm glad we went with the red onion. I think it's kind of pretty.
Yeah,
There.
beautiful.
You know, one of the things we didn't do, and
What?
I forgot salt and pepper.
Oh. Well, maybe when you stir it tomorrow, you can put some salt and pepper in it.
Whoops.
It happens. Well, there's probably enough seasoning with the cream of mushroom soup too.
Yeah, probably enough. Okay, so I'm going to be making next a family favorite. This is like a twist on Rice Krispie treats. We're going to make this with cornflakes. So think of this like, you're melting marshmallows and butter, and then you mix it all up, you add some green food coloring, and then instead of Red Hots, we're using M&Ms because you've met Josh. We have the M&Ms. So this should come together really quickly while we're waiting for the pumpkin dessert to finish baking. So this is super easy because we're gonna melt the butter and the marshmallows in the microwave. So I need a half a stick of butter, and this is salted butter.
And we just lined a baking sheet with parchment paper because we're gonna put the wreaths on this baking sheet when they are done. And we have to work quick once this all melts.
Okay, so now this is 2 cups, right?
Yep.
So I need 4 cups. And if I drop any, the boys will get a treat. Maybe I'll drop one on purpose.
So I think this is brilliant that you can make this in the microwave.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot less work than doing it on the stove.
So we'll microwave those for, start with 30 seconds and then give them a stir. Almost there.
So we're adding 4 cups of cornflakes.
Oh, I wonder if we should have added the...
Oh, food coloring first?
Yeah.
Oh shoot,
That's okay, you know what, we're gonna...
darn it. I was a little too hasty there.
Just a few drops. Maybe a little bit more, otherwise they look brown.
More?
Let's see.
Oh, and the vanilla too.
Oh yeah, we should have added the vanilla.
Do you want me to add it?
Go ahead.
Oh, it's starting to turn green, kind of.
We just want it to be really green because...
Do you want more food coloring in there?
Maybe there's still some drips there. Because we want it to look like
A wreath.
wreath. Otherwise it just looks like this strange dead plant. That's probably good.
So note to self, when you're making these, put the food coloring and the vanilla in the marshmallow, mix that first, and then mix up the...
I mean, it's not impossible, right? But it's just...
And we're only gonna use red to decorate, so I'm just gonna separate out the red M&Ms.
Yeah, then it looks like holly berries. I think it needs more cornflakes.
Do you want me to add some more?
I think so. It's very sticky. That's good, thank
You want me to stir?
you. Yes.
We're having a little bit of trouble. I've never had this much trouble with this recipe with Renee before. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the pumpkin out of the oven. That's what this timer is. Oh man, that smells so good.
Oh, it does smell good. I think it's good.
Yeah, I don't think you would want it. I think it looks great.
Yay.
Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw dinner in the oven because Josh and I ate breakfast like later, and this dinner's gonna take a while. I already have the oven preheated, so I'm gonna throw the lasagna straight in the oven. So normally when we make these, we turn them into wreath shape, so they're a circle with a hole in the middle, like a donut shape. But we're having a little bit of trouble this year, so we're ad-libbing.
We are so ad-libbing. So it's gonna be more like a drop like this, a plop.
It's still gonna taste good, even if it looks different than it normally does. That looks good. And we usually add 3 Red Hots, but we are using M&Ms this year.
Yeah.
And then it looks like holly. Here, that's cute.
That is cute.
Yeah.
You're a good sport. Yeah.
So I can do the M&Ms if you want.
Okay, and I'll just kind of do this. Maybe I'll make them a little smaller. Yeah, so obviously you could add more green. I'll let you kind of shape it too, maybe.
Yeah, I can shape it.
But you could add more green, and you could add more green when you add it to the melted marshmallows.
Renee and her husband have a YouTube channel that I can link down below where they are building out a shop in their homestead, and they do some fun different projects around their house. So if you're interested in that, it's called He Said, She Shed, and I'll link it down below. We got a lot done.
Yes.
That was so fun. So we got the potato casserole. Now these turned out really cute. I think they're cute, even though they're a little ad-lib. We did a little ad-libbing today, I would say. So we decided just to put all the M&Ms on them just because what else are we gonna use with just a handful of green M&Ms? So they are cute. They're not exactly how we normally make them, but I think they're gonna taste really good.
Yes.
We got our pumpkin dessert here. I'm curious to see what this is gonna look like when we cut into it. I think it's gonna almost be like a bar, kind
I
of.
think so. I think it'll be kind of a custardy,
Yeah.
because it's kind of soft, but it has like a custardy middle. I think it's gonna be really good.
Yeah. Then we've got our cookies that took us no effort at all, and dinner is in the oven.
And now it's time to snuggle the baby.
Yes. I'm glad I decided to put this in when I did because, oh yeah, it's done. Josh just came to me and said he is hungry. So I'm gonna take this out of the oven. I just went and looked to see what vegetables I had in my freezer. I thought I had some more packets of green beans, and I don't. And those green beans turned out so good the other day, how simply we made them. So I was wanting that again tonight. But I think what we're gonna have, someone brought over this kale salad, but we had already had some made up, so I didn't make it with part of the food train. This is just some sweet kale salad from Costco with the poppy seed dressing. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and make that up. And we have Christmas dinner ready to have a beautiful dinner. This is a lasagna bolognese with a bechamel sauce, and it's bubbly and delicious. So this does not have ricotta cheese in it. It has a white cream sauce filling. One of the best lasagnas you will ever have in your life. So this will be a great dinner. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Christmas and with Renee. I just really appreciate you. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Hopefully not too many of you had to refigure out your Christmases, because I know that the airports and all the things definitely were kind of challenging this year with some of that crazy weather that our country was experiencing over this Christmas season. If you celebrate some other holiday at this time of year, I hope you had a great time with your friends and family. I hope you ate a lot of really good food. I just want to say I'm grateful for you. I'm thankful for you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. If you enjoyed this, I can pop a couple of my other videos here. You can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.